banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Tell me where you stand. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at this. Love it, love it. Y'all look so good. Ready?
I can do this better than my
Is everybody in there that wants to be? Yes, ready for more.
Here comes Rosemary. We gotta get her in there.
Okay.
You got it, Kim?
Rosemary.
Oh, and there's Will Star. Go ahead.
Are we finished pictures?
No, man.
Okay.
Stand down because Rosemary is coming.
Okay.
Take your time, Rosemary.
Now, thanks, so we're not blocking the way, 'cause that's private property.
Oh, that's special. You understand?
Right.
We're
If
organized.
y'all taking pictures, that's fine, but don't be heavy up on the stairs or anything like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Quick picture, we'll get right
All right,
on.
All right, take a look at the picture.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
One more, wait a second, wait a second. We're going to get a selfie.
I ain't gonna take a. Okay. Just let you do what you do. Because I'm not even gonna use that. Oh, it's just her. Everybody wasn't gonna be in that one. Just do the public side. Do the public side. Wherever you say the public side. Go ahead. Don't worry about that.
Yes.
We got that.
All right, I think everybody inside is wondering why we're here. So let's start off with a chant to let them know why we are here. The chant says, "Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now." Okay? Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now. Do you got it? Yeah. All right, so let them hear it. Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now. Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now. Let them hear you. Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now. 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 Let them hear you. Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now. Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now. Stop funding fossil fuels, the time is now. Right, come on, let's make some noise.
That was past time.
Now is the time. Now is the time. All right, let's try this one out. Cut it out, or we will cut it up.
All right.
Right? Credit cards. We're not supporting this mess. Cut it out.
Cut it out.
So we gon'
Cut it out.
cut it up.
Cut it out.
That's right. So everyone's gonna say cut it out. I'm gonna say or we will, and then y'all gonna say cut it up. All right? Cut it out. Y'all say, I will say or we will. So here we go. Y'all ready?
Cut it out.
Or we will.
Cut it up. Cut it out.
Or we will.
Cut it up.
Come on.
Cut it out.
Or we will.
Cut it up.
Cut it out. Or we will.
Cut it up.
Cut it out. Or we will.
Cut it up.
Cut it out. Or we will.
Cut it up.
Cut it out. Or we
Okay, well, we're here. I think they know we're here too. My name is Marcia Fouch. This was Lauren Cunningham from Healing Ground kicking us off. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. I'm a founding member of Third Act North Carolina. Can you hear me okay? Founding member of Third Act North Carolina and a member of the Third Act North Carolina Steering Committee. We're here today as part of the Third Act nationwide Stop Dirty Banks Day of Action, which is happening in cities all over the nation today. We're speaking out today to tell the dirty banks to stop using our money to finance climate destruction.
All right.
All right. There are four major banks who together account for a quarter of the fossil fuel financing over the last 6 years, and they are Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Third Act has been contacting these banks for the last year and telling them to stop financing fossil fuels. These four dirty banks are now lined up right now to fund the Willow Project in the Arctic, which will destroy indigenous lands and pump the same amount of carbon into the atmosphere as 76 coal-fired plants a year. Boo. They are destroying our planet, and there's no plan B for planet Earth. The cash in these banks equals the carbon in the air we breathe and heats the Earth up, producing more heat waves, drought, floods, wildfires, and environmental devastation. We're here today to say, stop dirty banks, cut it out, or we're going to cut it up, like we just did.
All right.
If these banks do not want to behave responsibly because climate risks are financial risks, we're going to cut up our credit and debit cards and find other responsible places to bank.
Yes.
I'm going to turn this over to my friend Rosemarie Vardell, another founding member of Third Act North Carolina, who's going to tell you more about Third Act and what we're doing here today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this day of demanding that dirty banks stop funding all this fossil fuel work. It's causing devastation not just in this country, but around the whole world. So Third Act is a national organization, and we in North Carolina are part of that. And there are, okay, oh gosh, here come the big machines. So Third Act National was started by Bill McKibben and other longtime climate activists. Third Act is designed for people who are 60 and over to share our experience and skills and resources toward this goal of stopping these dirty banks. We work closely with other generations and young people so that we can, they are already out there. They're on the line in the streets. So we're going to support them and they will support us is the idea for Third Act. There are 100 actions happening all around the country today. 4 of them are in North Carolina, here in Greensboro, Durham, Chapel Hill, Charlotte, and Asheville. So we are making a statement here in North Carolina. So, like some of you, I came here not as a scientist, not as an economist. I came as a mom and who has grandkids. I came as an aunt. I came here for my niece, and I'm a teacher. And I came because I feel like in all those roles, I have a responsibility for what's going to happen to our future generations. This is happening to us, but it's nothing like what it's going to be for our kids and grandkids if we don't stop this nonsense.
Right.
The poor and the most vulnerable are suffering the most from all this climate damage. And they, in fact, are the people who have the least to do with causing it. So another responsibility that we have. So sometimes people say, well, why are you targeting the banks? What about the oil companies? They are doing all this stuff. Actually, they couldn't do it without the banks. And we know that. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So Wells Fargo is one of the 4 largest banks that's dumping money into these fossil fuel projects. Boo. That's right. Boo. Well, they say, and some other banks too, that they're doing all these things to reduce carbon emissions. Well, if you look on their website, it's lovely. There's a whole list of things they're doing to reduce these emissions. And there's things like putting a fresh focus on biodiversity. What the heck does that even mean? So that's their idea of addressing the problem. Greenwashing. That's right. Greenwashing, that's right. So until they come up with a real commitment to stop, it's a matter of changing. It's not a matter of making it better. Stop funding these fossil fuel projects. Cut it out. Cut it out. So we hope you'll join us in Third Act. We're going to continue this work. We also are working on protecting our democracy. So these are the issues we're focusing on. You can sign up on a sheet. You'll get more information as things move along about what we're up to and how you can be a part of it. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Okay, I think we have a guest that we didn't expect today. We got Mr. Wells.
Yeah, we got a message for Mr. Wells Fargo here, Mr. Bank. We're gonna tell him we're gonna turn up, we're gonna get loud, and protect future generations now. So here's how the rhythm goes. We're gonna turn up, we're gonna get loud. And we all say, to protect future generations now. Okay? That's how we're going to say it together. You're going to repeat after me. We're going to turn up. We're going to turn up. We're going to get loud. We're going to get loud. To protect future generations now. Future generations now. Now that line, to protect future generations now, we're saying that all together, okay? You're only repeating me the first and second. But we're going to say to protect future generations now. All together. Here we go. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna get loud. We're gonna get loud. To protect future generations now. We got it? We're gonna turn up. We're gonna get loud. To protect future generations now. Here we go. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna get loud. We're gonna get loud. To protect future generations now. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna get loud. We're gonna get loud. To protect future generations now. Woo.
All right. Yeah, now we got something else to tell you.
Yeah, I forgot
we're
to
lucky to have
reach out.
Kathy
I've been
Buckley
thinking
from
about it
Raleigh
this
here
whole
to
time.
speak with us. She took the train from Raleigh because she really does believe in reducing her carbon footprint.
Yay!
Kathy consults with Third Act on public utility commissions and is director of statewide organizing for Apple, which is the Alliance to Protect Our People and the Places We Live. Apple intervened in 2 Duke Energy matters before the North Carolina Utilities Commission, the Carbon Plan, and net metering. So let's welcome Kathy.
Thank you, Marcia. I have to speak very closely into this, right? Okay. Good. Thank you. Thanks, Marcia, and thank you, Rosemary. Yeah. Is that okay, folks?
Yeah.
Okay. And thanks, Rosemary, for those amazing words, and good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. I just want to put some things in context. In the 5 minutes that I get to speak with you today, almost 500,000 tons, 500,000 times 2,000 pounds of greenhouse, thank you, some more greenhouse gases will enter our atmosphere worldwide, 500,000 tons. Now it's hard to, it's hard to relate to that, but that's the equivalent of the weight of the Empire State Building in 5 minutes. So that's the context that we're talking about. So we're here today to say no more to fund our own demise. But those fossil fuel giants will not continue drilling without a market for their goods, right? They got to sell it, right? Will enter investor-owned utilities, or IOUs. Kind of like you owe your future to them because they're going to try to destroy it. The IOUs, the investor-owned utilities, one of the biggest ones is Duke Energy. No surprise. They serve 8 million customers, most of North Carolina, plus parts of 5 other states. Now, we North Carolinians also send over $2 billion a year out of state for fossil fuels, and it's going to be much, much more this year because the cost has gone way up. And Duke is a monopoly, of course, so we're forced to do that. So Duke Energy is quite the opposite of its clean, green picture, right? They have a lot of ads on TV about how they love solar, right? Well, they sure don't. In their first draft carbon plan, which was published, actually they came up with the draft in May, but the Utilities Commission unfortunately rubber stamped it in December, and that plan was beyond dismal. For further details, you can check out North Carolina Fossil Free's website. North Carolina Fossil Free. Just search for that. And we published a report card, which basically gave Duke an F for their effort.
Mama.
Yeah.
An F.
And D- to the Utilities Commission. They didn't really do much better, but we kind of give them a break. But they're going to get another draft out this year, and the Utilities Commission has a second chance to make it right. So we're going to put pressure on them to do the right thing. In another matter before the Duke Energy is trying to make household solar panels more expensive for North Carolina businesses and residents by adding extra monthly fees and by paying less for the extra power that they generate. And you know what? Duke Energy has the audacity to use low-income folks as a justification. Yeah, what they're saying is, why should people who can't afford solar panels subsidize those who can? But it's the opposite. When you put solar panels up, you're giving some energy to neighbors. Your excess is going to neighbors at almost no cost. But Duke Energy is still charging full freight for that, for that power. So why don't they like our solar panels on our roofs? Because they don't own it. And if they don't own it, they don't make profit on it. Now, why are they so opposed? I'm sorry, I already said that part. So, a former state official, I think, put the whole situation very succinctly. He said, Duke Energy is not a utility, it's a construction company. The more they construct, the more money they make. And that's why they don't like rooftop, because you build it, or businesses build it. Duke Energy does not build it. And as they pile up profits, they spend more to ensure that their worldview wins. So when Duke Energy, for example, says the law says that we must, what they're neglecting to say is we wrote the law. They're in the State House all the time making sure that what they want, they get.
That's right.
Right.
So we've got to make sure that the General Assembly changes pretty damn fast, because that's a big problem for us. And they also outnumber the government staff, the public staff, and the utility staff. They're totally outnumbered by Duke. So even those who are trying to do the right thing really don't have a snowball chances in whatever to do it. So if you want to help, as Rosemary said, as Marcia's saying, Third Act is about to launch an effort aimed specifically at Duke Energy and the North Carolina Utilities Commission. And for all folks, even if you're not lucky enough to be over 60, there's a host of organizations working toward clean energy.
Bless you.
In a just future. And if we cannot convince the powerful in our world to cut greenhouse gases back to zero, Mother Nature sure as hell will. So thanks for coming out today and standing with the compassionate, caring folks across the world who are doing what they can for justice and sanity. Thank you.
Thank you.
for some folks may know this song. If you know it, then join on in, okay? We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. Let's practice that together, okay? We gotta have music practice out here while as we gather. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. Show us where you stand. Let's do it again. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. Come on. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. Again, we're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. We're banking on the water. Come on, y'all. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. We're banking on the water. Yeah. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Wells Fargo. Show us where you stand. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Show us where you stand. Watch this. We're banking on our children. We're banking on love. We're banking on the future. Will you stand with us? We're banking on our children. We're banking on love. We're banking on love. We're banking on the future. We're banking on the future. Wells Fargo. Will you stand with us? We're banking on our children. We're banking on love. We're banking on the future. Will you stand with us? One more time. We're banking on our children. We're banking on love. We're banking on the future. Will you stand with us? That's our question. Will you stand with us, Wells Fargo?
Thank you. You hear that, Mr. Wells? Yeah. All right, well, next up we have somebody to tell you something. Our next youth speaker, Nelson Johnson, some of you might know his grandparents or his mom. Anyway, he is in 9th grade at Point Preparatory and Leadership Academy, and he's going to give us his perspective and what he thinks about the future with fossil fuels and what we should be doing about it and what you should be doing about it.
All right.
Hello, third act of Greensboro, NC. Thank you for caring about my future. My name is Nelson Johnson. I am 13 years old, and I represent future generations that are concerned about climate changes and democracy. To the big banks that invest in fossil fuels, when you look at me, you see your grandchild, see in your neighbors, see children in your churches, see young people in schools, see Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Now imagine that same young person dies from a preventable lung disease because the atmosphere has become so contaminated with carbon dioxide emitted from burning fossil fuels. Big investment banks, do you want our lives to be cut short due to global warming? No. Or do you want us to live to be healthy and strong, just like the Third Act movement? Right. Climate change is a big issue that continues to threaten life on Earth, for plants and animals, including humans. In very basic terms, big banks invest billions of dollars in fossil fuels. Fossil fuels produce carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, which warm the temperatures on the planet. Warmer temperatures create an imbalance in the atmosphere. This outcome poisons animal life forms by breaking down hemoglobin and preventing blood cells from delivering oxygen and nutrients to cells. Today's rally focuses on the big banks in particular. Wells Fargo, which invested $271.8 billion into fossil fuel resources, has been misbehaving and messing up the climate. This needs to stop. Fossil fuels are unsafe, unhealthy, inefficient, and unreliable. Mother Earth needs Wells Fargo and other big investment banks to switch their investments to renewable energy sources. Why? Here is why. Because the hotter climate causes more water vapor to be present in the atmosphere in general. It turns out that water vapor is a very strong greenhouse gas, so it continues to heat up the climate, pulling even more water into the atmosphere and spiraling all on its own. If we don't do something soon, it will be unpreventable even if we do fix it up. On top of that, the polar ice caps are melting away. They play a surprising and important role in controlling the Earth's climate. You see, ice is very reflective, and it actually reflects a lot of heat from the Earth. This includes heat from the sun that would usually get trapped and distributed on the Earth. Instead, it gets sent back into space. Less of it means an accelerated rate of climate temperature increase. But we still are not done. The ice is melting, increasing sea levels, and lowering salinity for oceans. This has two effects. First, it infringes and even drowns the coast. This is where a lot of tropical trees are capable of putting away quite a bit of carbon dioxide into the ground. This means we are weakening the ability of trees to fight back. In fact, coal and oil develop from trees trapping carbon dioxide in the ground and slowly combining with ammonia and other chemicals. That means that, in fact, we are pulling out carbon dioxide that has been trapped from long ago back into the atmosphere with the added amount we have now.
All right.
The loss in salinity of ocean means aquatic biodiversity is decreasing. And algae, which is responsible for making 80% of Earth's oxygen, will stop existing soon. This is not healthy and will eventually eliminate almost all life. Admittedly, there is one factor that is outside of our control as humans. The sun is heating up like all stars do as they age. This factor contributes to some of the environmental issues we face long term. However, the majority of the environmental challenges stem from the actions of big banks like Citibank, Wells Fargo, JP Mortgage, Chase, and Bank of America. How could this happen? Big banks allowed huge amounts of money to be used for the purposes that deplete energy and natural resources instead of investing in renewable natural sources or investing in financially equitable practices. Why can't big banks focus on helpful, sustainable behaviors that help, not harm Mother Earth and all of her inhabitants? The excuse often given has been that if big banks suddenly stop supporting the industries pumping out this toxic fuel, the economy would collapse and humans would not have enough money to sustain themselves.
Nonsense.
But we created the money system. We should have control over it. If it is something beneficial to everyone, it should be free. Would it matter to big banks if it costs too much if we're all dead? If the climate becomes so badly corrupted that life simply cannot exist on Earth any longer, Wells Fargo needs to take something seriously and take action now. Together we have the power to make positive changes instead. We are simply fighting ourselves at this point. I would argue that we could have been safely traveling to Venus or Mars by now if we have not been caught up in our own mammon and money and warfare. Because we have not put people in the earth that we live on first, future generations of humans will have to deal with the corrupted, divided, overheated, and polluted planet that used to be more habitable, but that we have created.
Don't worry about it. I have to say it properly.
Obsessed with material things and fighting each other. We forget about the sustainable, emotional, and spiritual wealth this wonderful planet provides.
All right.
Greece apparently has made more than 50% of its power supply renewable with no major problems.
Greece.
What stops us from doing the same? If having a healthy existence for all is truly important and we want to save the future of life on this planet, something must be done and done soon. There are several alternative energy sources to choose, including windmills or solar panels or hydroelectric energy. Even magnetic energy is a hypothetical solution. But what we are doing right now is not good enough. We cannot rely on big banks that are dedicated to profit over people to do these things on their own. We, the people of Greensboro and these United States, must work together to compel these big banks to invest in all of our futures. What big banks do will directly impact my future and that of millions from my generation. Unless there are positive changes soon, I will be forced to grow up in a greedy, wealth-obsessed society that is threatening the entire planet. This is a matter that is already being made apparent by the Ukrainian war going on now. People are dying every day and pollutants are being released throughout the planet because of the obsession with money. The truth is that in the end, a war has no true victors. I believe in getting renewable energy sources like solar panels installed so that we can slow fossil fuels. My church, in fact, has solar panels that we attach to the roof, channeled directly from the sun. A great way to use the powerful sun, don't you think? I truly believe we need to be more challenging because of the aloof and so-called professional way the government is solving this issue. This will not work. So we, the people, must get involved directly by doing these things. Like unless those same nets catch thousands of fish to catch all of the trash we put in the ocean and properly recycle it. I will be glad to do some volunteer work helping the climate. All of us together will be able to fix the mess we created. Humans were gifted with unparalleled intelligence, and we should use it for good, not primarily for money. Third Act will succeed working across the generations, but only if we shift our mindset and behave to love and genuine collect efforts, rather than more greed and individual power. I wonder if there's any other young people that want to come up and tell you a thing or two. Would you back up, please? Get on my nerves, okay? Do we have some other young people?
Yeah.
I think they got the bubbles. They've got their bubbles now. They're coming up to tell you. My goodness. They're right here.
Children! I love children!
Oil is bad for living things. Okay. I don't want my world to turn into a desert. Yeah.
Kids have spoken.
Yes. So what do you say to that?
But we can have a timeshare in the desert. It'll be beautiful.
So, Scissors out. All right. Well, we got to figure out something we can do because he doesn't seem to care. So we're going to do what Lauren was talking about earlier. About if he's not going to cut it out, we're going to cut it up.
No, don't do that.
We've got some big scissors here. And we got some of these credit cards. And anybody who wants to line up behind Rosemary and say why you're cutting up a card, there's another card here.
Yeah, we got 2 cards. Let's show them.
Yeah, we can pass the card. So if you want to line up and
What are you doing?
Don't do that! Or we will cut it up! Cut it out or we will cut it up! Cut it out or we will cut it up! Cut it out or we will cut it up! Cut it out or we will cut it up! Cut it out or we will cut it up! Cut it out or we will cut it up!
You're giving me a lot to think about.
All right.
Do the right thing.
Take a seat. Next up, we're gonna have one of our national partners come up. Someone from the Hip Hop Caucus. I don't know his name, but anyway. My favorite frenemy, T.C. Mohammed. Come on up and talk to us about the Hip Hop Caucus and Third Act.
What's going on, everybody? So I wasn't sure that I was going to be in town, but I'm glad I'm here, and I'm representing, some people know me as TC, but I'm representing the Hip Hop Caucus. You can find us on all social media, hiphopcaucus.org. But our president, Reverend Yearwood, is good friends, and I'm good friends with Bill McKibben. And it was because of Bill McKibben in 2012 that I learned about climate change. I didn't have no idea about it. I was in Washington, D.C., November 2012, and I went to a Do the Math forum with 350.org, and we started learning about climate change. And I was like, what in the world is going on? I didn't understand why I was here. So why in the world are we at this meeting? Because I saw all these white people, and I didn't know what was going on. But the following year, in 2013, I ended up being in Nebraska and speaking at the state hearing against the Keystone Pipeline, which we stopped and which we must keep putting force to. And from that, also in 2013, I was a part on the Forward on Climate movement in Washington, D.C., where we organized 40,000 people to organize against the Keystone Pipeline. But from that, along with the Hip Hop Caucus, and at that time, Bill McKibben and 350.org and all the other ones, I started to learn more. At first, I was saying climate control because I didn't know. Then I started to learn about climate justice. But then I started to learn about environmental justice. Then I started to learn, as Reverend Yearwood said, this is our lunch counter moment. This is our time to stand. Reverend Yearwood says this. He says that back in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s, we may not have had a good existence. If we would have lost the civil rights movement, if we would have lost all of our struggles, the voting rights, all our accommodations, we would have had a terrible existence. We would have had a terrible life. Some of us would have still been picking cotton. But that's one thing. But it's another thing if we lose this fight. Because if we lose the climate fight, there will be no existence for us tomorrow. So it's not about just having comfortable living, it's about being able to sustain ourselves on this planet. And I was also in Standing Rock when we was fighting against No DAPA, against the Dakota Access Pipeline. When I saw tribes from all across the country, literally all across the world, to come to Standing Rock to push back on the Dakota Access Pipeline. But even there, they came out in droves. They came out to destroy us. They came out to shoot us. They came out with the dogs. They came out with the water hose and Standing Rock. Just like this week, security is coming out to try to stop the voice of the people. But they will not stop us. We will demand divestment right now from fossil fuels, right? We want dirty money out of the banks. It was 3 years ago, we was in D.C. and we was at Chase Bank. And at Chase Bank, we got arrested because we was fighting stop the dirty pipeline, right? We were stopping the pipeline of the dirty pipeline. And we was in that fight and folks got arrested and people were still fighting. Bill McKibben, Reverend Year was in D.C. today. And as I said, we're all across the country. But I also got to say this. Next week, I'm going down to Georgia for an environmental justice meeting. We got our brother Michael Regan from A&T at the EPA because we need somebody back in there because they were trying, when Trump came in, they tried to erode our rights. They tried to erode all of the things that was going on. But we got to be very vigilant. We got to watch what's going on. But the thing I want to say is, it's one thing to say divest from fossil fuels. But my question is, where is the money being invested into? There's a lot of questions about pulling your money out. The Arabellum report shows trillions of dollars coming out. I was with the students at Harvard University when I was fighting for Harvard to divest. But my question is, where are you going to invest? Where are the communities that are hit hardest and the worst? Where are those black communities, those indigenous communities that we're going to put money back into? So the Hip Hop Caucus is working with Bank Black and Brown. The petition that we got, Bank Black and Brown, so we can put money back into black banks that goes into black communities. And when we talk about reinvestment, you know, today is a significant time, 3/21/23. So it's 3-2-1, the end of fossil fuels, and 1-2-3 to renewable and 100% clean energy. So we're seeing the end of one, but the beginning of a new. As Josiah said, we have alternatives. We have wind, we have solar, we have a lot of alternatives that can help our community. So we must push on the banks to divest and pull out the money. Pull out your money. You can still survive. We know this. But we also got to know that this is a global dynamic. This is a global oppression. In Amazons, they're tearing down and they're destroying the rainforest to do what they want to do. We know we saw transatlantic and they're trying to cut pipelines all through our communities. And it's our community, it's black communities, it's poor communities that they want to put the pipelines in. It's our communities that they want to build the landfills and the power plants in our community, and we're dying and we're killed. So we march and we protest about gun violence and them shooting down in the street, but we don't march enough when they're killing us through our air, they're killing us through our water. Flint still don't have clean drinking water. Mississippi still don't have clean drinking water. We still have lead issues and lead poisoning in our communities, and we think it was just Flint. We thought it was just Baltimore. It's all of our land. So we must stop. And I saw a sign about Cop City. We must not stop Cop City. We were just in East Palestine, and we was pushing for Norfolk Railways to stop the transportation of deadly chemicals in our community. So we got to fight. So this is not no just moment. This is a movement. So we're going to push on Wells Fargo, push on Bank of America. We're going to push on Chase Bank. And we want you to divest your money, but we want you to invest in renewable energy. We want you to invest in poor, marginalized communities that need it. We're still in New Orleans where Katrina was hit, where Katrina hit the people in New Orleans. But we want you to understand, we got to keep our eye out and look at those politicians that are connected to dirty money. See, this is Wells Fargo, but there's some other businesses up here also. There's some other law firms up here also. There's some other banking industries up in the same building. So we need to know everybody that has a hand in dirty fossil fuel, that black snake. We want to make sure that we divest from that. We want to make sure that we push clean and renewable energy. So we got to keep fighting, and this is the third act, the final act. There will be no more act after the third act. We are at the time, and we are below the time to make it a reality. We can't go to another COP. We was in COP last year in Egypt, and the global conversation around energy and climate change, and we're supposed to be going to Dubai this year. I hope I can go to Dubai. But we're supposed to be going to Dubai, but it's enough talk. We got to make actions. We got to do legislation. So I don't know who's coming into the office in 2024, but we need some action from Biden in 2023. We need some action from our EPA in 2023. We need some action from our Congress in 2023. So we want to make sure that we push on all our politicians. We want to push on those that are in position of power to divest from dirty money and out of these banks. And we want to make sure that our children have a future, that our children can drink clean water, our children can breathe clean air. So we don't want to do it for ourselves, do it for the little babies that we saw running around. Do it for the children so they can have green pathways, they can have some trees that they can climb on, they can have some water they can actually swim in without making a tester to test the water to see if they can drink it or if they can even play in it. I grew up where I can just play in the tree, grew up in the country, had good well water. Now I don't know about drinking out of nobody's faucet. So we have to fight for this future. So I also, as representative of Hip Hop Caucus, look at us on The Coolest Show, Think 100. There's a show called The Coolest Show. It's a podcast that we talk about these issues. and we bring them up from a global perspective. And in a few weeks, we're going to have a State of the Black World Conference with our brothers from Ron Daniels, and people from all over the globe will be here to talk about these particular issues. And we must, at some point, give the land back to the people the land was taken from. Because we standing on other folks' land talking about divest. But we must divest and invest and give back the land to the people who was over it. And we need to be better stewards of the land that God has blessed us to take care of. So, I don't know where Lauren is, but I know she got another chant, and I know we got another something, but at the hip-hop... Stop funding fossil fuels!
Stop funding fossil fuels!
Stop funding fossil fuels.
Stop funding fossil fuels!
Stop funding fossil
Let me hear you.
fuels.
Stop
Funding fossil fuels. Stop funding fossil fuels.
Stop funding fossil fuels!
Stop funding fossil
Let me hear you.
fuels.
Stop funding fossil fuels!
Stop funding fossil fuels.
All right, make some noise!
Wow, all right. I don't even know what to say, but
Nobody ran us away.
yeah.
Stand your ground.
Say amen,
Power.
amen, ashe, all of it. All of
People
it.
power.
That's right. Does anybody, we're gonna open it up now. If there's anybody here who has a actual credit card that they wanna cut up, or if you just wanna have it's kind of an open mic for a few minutes, if anybody has anything else they would like to add. So, step back here for a minute, see if anybody shows up.
And can we get some money off that before you cut it? I'm there.
Uh-oh, that's an issue.
No, it's not just it.
Oh, no, we got some scissors. We got some scissors.
Say why you're cutting it up, or?
One way or another.
Cut it up. Cut it up.
Did a good job.
Cut it
I've
up.
been wanting another bank for 10 years now, and I haven't done it yet merely because I haven't found another alternative. I'd like to put it in a credit union, but I can't find any credit unions I can join.
Right over here at this table.
There's some at the table, we got some over there.
Great.
Okay. All right, here, we don't have any.
All right now. Cut it up. Cut it up.
Cut it up. Cut it up. Cut it up. Cut it up. Cut it up. Cut it up.
All right. One more cut. I'm going to give you the pieces because I don't want somebody to.
Yeah, I was going to say I wanted to keep the pieces
Yeah,
with
you.
numbers on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right. Here you go. Thank you. What is your name?
Jim Barron.
Jim Barron. Jim Barron. All right, let's give a hand for Jim Barron. All right. I'm going to give you those. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim Barron.
I'd like to say one more thing, if I may. If somebody talks to you about a great new project to get rid of extra CO2 by pumping it into the ground, where it's dangerous as hell because it can get released in a sudden movement and kill a bunch of people like in Lake Nyos happened naturally. And just ask them, why the hell are we looking for a place to put it in the ground safely when we could just leave it in the ground in the first place?
That's right. Thank you. You want to tell us your name?
I'm Marion, and I'm cutting it up because I believe in the planet and over the profits.
All right. Okay. Let's hear it for Marion.
Kathy Buckley, and I'm actually cutting up a PNC card. They're not like in the top big banks that we're talking about today, but they are nasty. They're up in Pittsburgh, and they fund a lot of cracker plants, which is another way to use petroleum. So they're really bad, and I'm glad to be rid of them.
That's right. Cut it up.
Cut it up. Cut it up.
I'm CH, and 50 years ago when I got married, my husband and I just chose the closest bank to our home. What could be a better benefit of a bank than being close to home? I never asked any questions about what they did, and I banked with Wachovia then, Wells Fargo now. Because of this rally and the information I got about Third Act from Marcia, I've looked at the information Elizabeth Chartrand compiled for us on the table. I found a place I will go as soon as I can and see about moving my money.
Okay. Anybody else? Or are we getting ready to close it out? Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, come on. Oh, gosh, I didn't.
Welcome back, Josh. Hey, everybody. My name is Joshua. I know this is about banks, and I guess I can relate it to banks in that banks have to invest in some place, and they invest in businesses. And I just want to make a connection for everybody that I think is really important and can really maybe change the game for all of us, and that is that the labor movement is in desperate need of the energy of the environmental movement and the moral mandate that the environmental movement has to save the planet. And if you have considered getting involved in something that can really pull the lever on climate change, think about the labor movement. And I want to, on Tuesday, April 5th, there's a rally at City Hall for the city workers at 5:30 p.m. And this is what I want to say about the labor movement and the environmental movement. We talk about cutting our consumption. Well, the first place that nature gets consumed is in the factory. And if we want to change what happens in the economy, we have to change at the point of origin, and that is the workplace. And the workers also have many environmental concerns. You know, their bodies are toxified when they show up to work, and the OSHA laws aren't in place. And all around the world where there's no protections for environmental, for work, and there's no environmental protections at work. So the workers, they can shut it all down, and they have a need to shut it down to protect their communities and to protect their bodies. But the environmental movement, for some reason, has held the workers at arm's length. So consider joining a union, join the UE Local 150, become a solidarity member, show up to the rallies, support union news. Even if you don't always agree with their struggles, know that only the working class can take on the banks. Come on. So we have to build a working class movement, and we're going to do that by showing up for the working class movement. We can't shame them into showing up for the environmental movement. All right? So we got to show up for the working class movement.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. That rally, show up to the rally.
Say it again. April 5th.
Oh, yeah. That's City Workers Union, April 4th. That is UE Local 150. That's April 4th at City Hall, this 300 West Washington Street at 5:30 p.m. All right. Thank you.
Josh, good to see you here. Anybody else have anything that they want on their heart, mind, that they want to say? Webb?
It just strikes me that what we're seeing at this moment in history is the result of 500 years of use of the living environment and of people as things to create wealth for a tiny elite. And the whole pattern from before Columbus was go find a place, figure out what you can get from it and sell it, rip it all out of there, and when it's all destroyed, go someplace else and do it all over again. We cannot treat our planet that way. And we who are used to the massive wealth that has been accumulated through slavery, enslavement of human beings, and depredation on the land, right? We're the heirs of this. When we're running back and forth in our cars and staying very comfortable, and we are, like using 5 planets worth of resources, we can't just tell the bank this, that, and the other thing. We have to model what it looks like to take it down to reduce the amount of destruction we're doing to the planet. And so that means driving less. It means, thinking about what does it look like to get on a trajectory towards sustainable living for me, and putting pressure on our friends to change their lifestyles. So that's the thought I have. We're in the midst of a 500-year process, and it's a huge turning that we all have to participate in personally, as well as trying to get corporate entities to change. That's right. Thank you.
Got it. Thanks, Webb. Anybody else? All right. I realized as we were doing this that we didn't do any kind of land acknowledgement, and I don't feel like I know. Let's just acknowledge that we are on. Pardon?
Stolen land.
We're on stolen land. Yeah, I think we just need to acknowledge that. So we'd like to thank everyone for coming out today and hope you learned something about the dirty banks and how we can get them to clean up their act. We want to thank our speakers, Kathy Buckley, Nelson Johnson, T.C. Mohammed, our music and chant leader, Lauren Cunningham, our bank investigator, Elizabeth Chartrand, videographer, Bernita Reed, right there, live streamer and photographer, Paulette Montgomery, and our Mr. Wells over here, Andrew Florence. We also want to thank all those folks behind the scenes that made this come together, Christine Hoffner, Catherine Holcomb, Karen Day, Anderson Bean, Michael Harris. A special shout out to Webb Mealing for all his various skills, driving to Saxonahon to pick up Mr. Wells there. And last but not least, Healing Ground at Faith Community Church that provided the space and support for Art Build and this action. Feel free to take there's some small posters on the table, home. Any large banners and posters can go over. I guess they can just go along the side where we had them right here. And finally, Third Act is just getting started in North Carolina, and if you want to attend a meeting or need more information, be sure you've signed up at the table with Christine. And remember, cut it out or we're going to cut it up.
That's right.
That's right.
We can do it.
All right, Lauren, would you sing us on out?
Yeah, let's just raise our voices together and remember and share what we're banking on. We're not banking on the banks, we're banking on each other. Yes. Right? Right. All right, so we're banking on the water. We're banking on the flood. Hold on, sorry, y'all. My bad. That was a remix. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on our future. Where do you stand? All right? We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on our future. Where do you stand? All right, here we go. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Tell me where you stand. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Tell me where you stand. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Tell me where you stand. We're banking on the water. We're banking on the land. We're banking on the future. Tell me where you stand. We're banking on the children. We're banking on love. We're banking on the future. Will you stand with us? Will you stand with us? We're banking on our children. We're banking on love. We're banking on the future. Will you stand with us? Make some noise, y'all.
Cut it, y'all. Stop the clown.
have a few words over here?
Yeah.
No, no, no. No?
Yeah.
Marsha has my info, so she can keep me in the loop.
Future, will you stand with us? We're banking on our children. We're banking on